In this video, we're going to discuss what you can expect from your guests when you are hosting them in your properties. This property here used to have a blue wall. It's now got a yellow wall. And I didn't do it because I wanted to change it yellow. We did it because a guest had a fight and there was blood all over the place. It trashed the property. Now these are the type of things that you will experience when you are renting. However, don't let it put you off. This is a great industry to be in, and these incidents are few and far between. As long as you have good verification and deposit and contract checking processes in place within your business. But you can expect that guests will be disrespectful to your properties. You know, a lot of people unfortunately have no respect for other people's assets, and you do from time to time come across parties within your properties, but it's just about preventing them. Previously in the marketing video, we spoke about the type of avatar that we want to bring into our properties. And this is really important because your marketing and the way you position your descriptions online can bring in the right or wrong guest. Your pricing model can bring in the right or wrong guest. And if you do not have the checks in play before they stay, then you're opening yourself up, you're wide open. And I firsthand experienced all that. I allowed guests to stay in the early days. They bypassed the contracts, they bypassed the deposits, and I just thought of the money that I would lose by not letting them in. Sure enough, they turned to be bad guests and I ended up costing myself money. So now I have a very strict policy. If they don't complete the checks, we have 3 checks. If they don't complete them, then we don't host them. I'm not bothered. I'll give them their money back. They're not staying because it's more profitable for me not to have those type of guests than it is to actually host them. But in the main, guests are fantastic. All they want is a good experience in your property, and you need to be able to deliver on that experience. You can do it in many ways depending on where you're operating and again who your avatar is, which we spoke about in the previous video. So for me, right now operating in multiple countries, the avatars are quite different. If I give you an example, the avatar in Dubai is totally different to an avatar in Newcastle upon Tyne. The difference in the type of person that is staying and the difference in the reason for travel, it's totally different. So it scales throughout all the different locations we operate in, and you've got to understand it. This is not a one-size-fits-all business. You have to niche down. You've got to understand who you want and who you're going to attract, and then you have to make the experience within your property reflect what that guest is probably going to want. Whether that's vouchers for local restaurants, whether it's bookings for theme parks or local attractions, or maybe they're there for a month-long stay as a professional stay, or maybe they're staying for several months because they're working on a building site nearby and there's a group of guys and they are, out there every single day, Monday to Thursday, then they go home on a Friday and come back on a Sunday or a Monday. That is the type of business that I like, especially in the UK, and I like the monthly rental stuff out in Dubai. And in terms of the European countries, it is a bit more of a holiday destination in the main, so you are then going to have to, roll with the peaks and troughs of the seasons. But guests can be fantastic, and they can also be your best referrer. Good guests come back. Good guests will always rebook, and good guests will always recommend, as long as you give them a reason to do so. And it doesn't have to be much. It can be a loyalty scheme. It can be a M&S voucher. It can be an Amazon voucher. It can be a crate of beer in the fridge, or sometimes it can just be a thank you and a recognition that they've left you a nice review, and asking them, if they don't mind, do they know anyone else that might want to stay. But when you get a bad guest, you need to make sure that you understand how to then go about returning the property back to the state it needs to be in, a bit like this, so that you can then rehost that guest and ultimately limit your damage by charging the cards or potentially working with that guest to ensure that they pay you back for the damage that they have caused. Again, this comes down to good systems and processes, which we are covering off within the video series, and it is something that I just cannot stress enough. You must not host any guests unless you have these in play. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss out on the next video, which is all about the reasons why you must be collecting your guest data. And if you want to discover what we can do for you here in terms of your journey, head over to ryankluke.com and book a call with my team, and we'll explore various avenues for you to explore your serviced accommodation journey.